My name is Hansi Johnson. I work for the Minnesota Land Trust, and the Land Trust is one of the members of the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance. And just like last year, I showed up late to a volunteer meeting, and I was handed the job of being the opening speaker. So I'm just one person on a large team that helped bring all of you together today. So I'm just going to say a few words to kick things off. So first thing I just wanted to say, how many people came to last year's summit? Raise a hand. Awesome. Wow, it's a lot of new people. How many people went to the podcast last night? Wow, awesome. That's even cooler. Cool. Well, this year versus last year, we tried hard to double and increase the size of the event this year, and we really have done that. So last year, I think we were at about 180 people. We're at about 350 this year. So thanks to you for doing that. Of course, when you double the size of anything, you double the amount of work it takes, you double the amount of resources it takes, and the amount of effort that it took. So I'm just going to say a few thanks to some of our sponsors and some of our volunteers just to kind of start things off. So just going to read off the sponsors on the top were that gave $2,500 or more. And just going to read those. So the Minnesota Land, BIPOC Twin Ports Outdoors, Duluth Parks and Rec, the Superior Hiking Trail Association, COGS, Duluth Climbers Coalition, Patagonia Clothing Company, North Shore Vacation Rentals, Gear Junkie, Great Lakes Restoration, Metal Homes Creative Studio, Duluth Cross Country Ski Club, the Lloyd K. Johnson Foundation, the St. Louis River Alliance, the Minnesota Star and Tribune, Spirit Mountain, Bent Paddle Brewing Company, the Ordine Foundation, the Minnesota Outdoor Recreation Industry Partnership, Ursa Minor Brewing, and Audio Visual Resources, who've done all of our tech. And then the majority of, a big chunk of the money actually came through the Duluth Tourism Fund. So we were actually funded through the city, and this is the second year in a row that really, truly gave us the base to make this work happen. So just a quick round of applause to all those folks that got on board. So then we had kind of two groups that were doing some of the organizing. We had a volunteer group, and this is the group. So it's good to keep in mind that these folks volunteered for over a year to help put this event on, but they also are volunteering for their own individual organizations. So I'll talk a little bit about what Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance is in a second, but they all are different members of other clubs as well. So we have Jonathan Rova, who's part of DXC, Dave Poggle, who's part of the Duluth Climbers Coalition, Lisa Lokala, who's part of the Spear Hike and Trail. She runs the Spear Hike and Trail Association. Matt Andrews with the City of Duluth Parks and Recs. Judy Gibbs, who's part of everything in Duluth. Connie Cummins, who actually, I think she's the one that actually says that she's part of Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance. So, but Connie's a part of everything as well. Bobby Larson, also part of most of the groups that are involved. Ansel Schiff with the Cyclists of Gitche-Gumee Shores, Adam Fournier with the City Parks and Recs Department as well. So just a huge thanks to these folks. They put a lot of time and effort into curating the content that you're going to see, and a lot of the organizational work and just a lot of the unsung stuff that we don't get to talk about. So thanks, big round of applause for them. And then I'd also just like to say a quick thanks to all the volunteers that showed up today. And we had a lot of folks that just showed up to do posters and all sorts of, again, a lot of those small little details that get lost in the greater things. But thanks to all those folks as well. And then, like I like to think, if you're a starry-eyed dreamer like I am, you need to surround yourself with people that actually know how to deal with details. And so we actually had two other folks who were both funded through different grants. We had Sam Armacost and Alyssa Johnson. So Sam actually came on to support this event by expanding our outreach within the BIPOC community and consulting on the event's offerings and approach to foster a more inclusive and accessible event. So Sam's done a lot of great work. The Mutual Aid Board is one good example, but there's plenty of others. So just a quick hand of applause for Sam as well. And thank you so much for all your work, Sam. I don't know where you are out there. And then Alyssa Johnson, who works for the St. Louis River Alliance, but also I think is probably the the backbone of this whole event. The amount of work that Alyssa's done and her attention to detail and her organization, all of the little things that you find so great about this event all came from Alyssa. And so I can't say enough about how much great work she has done. And we owe her a big, big, big round of applause as well. So there you are. All right, so next we're going to hear a quick word from our Senator, Amy Klobuchar.
Hello to all my friends at the Great Lakes Outdoor Summit. I wish I could be there with you in person. I always loved Duluth. My dad grew up not too far from Duluth. It's been an important part of my life. But to everyone visiting from out of town, welcome to Minnesota, where all the women are strong. Look around you. All the men are good looking. And all the lakes and outdoor recreation are above average. I really do mean above average. We're home to more than 64 incredible state parks. We're the birthplace of the mighty Mississippi. Go down there, you can walk over it. We have thousands of miles of trails, including the beautiful 310-mile Superior hiking trail. My husband John and I are getting close to hiking the entire trail. Okay, we're about half done, but let's just say I've left the hardest legs to the end. And of course, we're the land of 10,000 lakes, including one that's so great, and that is Superior. So it's no wonder that more than 90,000 Minnesota jobs rely on the outdoors. Outdoor recreation provides more than $4 billion in wages for our workers, and it pumps about $10 billion into our state economy. That's billion with a B. In other words, the outdoors is more than only parks, lakes, and trails. It's a way of life. As vice chair of the bipartisan Great Lakes Caucus, I'm committed to preserving that way for life for generations to come. That's why I've long fought to invest in conservation, like the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which is already hard at work restoring native fish and wildlife habitat, combating invasive species, and cleaning up pollution. It's a big deal for anyone who likes fishing, canoeing, or kayaking, and I'm fighting to make sure it has the resources it needs to continue keeping the lakes clean and healthy, and we already reauthorized it for the next 5 years. And as a senior member of the Ag Committee, next in line to chair it, I see the Farm Bill as a big opportunity to build on our conservation efforts. I've worked across the aisle to pass 3 farm bills, and each time we've included funding for the Conservation Reserve Program. This is one of our country's most successful private land conservation programs, and I'm focused on maintaining strong funding for it, for also the CSP program and the EQIP program, all of which involve conservation in the next farm bill. This work is personal for me because, like so many of you, I grew up in a family that valued the outdoors. My grandpa was an avid fisherman. He worked 1,500 feet underground in the mines of Ely, so you can imagine how important it was for him to get outside to fish and hunt. Every time when he'd go down that cage in that mine, he would always be thinking of picking blueberries. He loved doing that and getting outdoors, fishing and hunting. But he did his job for his family. My dad was a bicyclist, mountain climber, and all-around outdoorsman. He once bicycled along Lake Superior, around the entire thing, a route I would put up against an oceanside trail any day. He and I biked all over the world together. We once biked from Minneapolis to Jackson Hole. We did 1,100 miles in 10 days. And I was 18 years old before I took a vacation that didn't involve a tent or a camper in one way or another. We all go outside to explore, to relax, to learn about the world around us, and make lifelong memories. Working together, I know we can protect our Great Lakes way of life and ensure families can keep making memories for generations to come. So you're up to something really cool in this summit. And I want you to realize the weight on your shoulders and that we have to keep these lakes strong. But I also want you to enjoy this outdoor summit because there's a lot that's fun about and there's a lot to celebrate. Have a good time. Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to invite our Mayor Roger Reinert to come up and do a welcome to Duluth. Passionate trail runner, right here.
That's true. Thank you, Hansi. Oh, all right. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Hansi. I've got a couple of things that I want to share with you in terms of welcome to Duluth. First of all, just thank you for being here. I know we've got almost 400 people that are coming from not just around the region, but in multiple states, some far afield. Your first speaker, who's come all the way from Colorado, has already been riding on the trails before talking with you. So I think that's the right order to do things when you come visit Duluth. Get outdoors and put your feet on the ground before coming indoors to talk about it. As Hansi said, passionate about our trail system, especially trail runner, trail user, hiking trail, the SHT, DUFTA, a fan lover of our waters, especially our big water. One of my goals this year is to be swim in the big lake every month of the year. So I've done it so far, and I want to go up to and including New Year's Day. But I also just want to call out a couple things, especially as you spend the next few days thinking about where you're at and the amenities that are here and why you came. So one of the things as mayor that I get from other communities and some residents is, and I want to acknowledge, I know Jess Peterson from our parks team is here, as well as many of our staff. You saw that in addition to the city, they're sponsors of this as well, because so many of our amenities, outdoor amenities in our community that fall under parks are also about the outdoor amenities that you're going to talk about. They're not the traditional parks. We have those too. But they are about engaging with and interacting with and spending time out in our great outdoors, the 10,000 wooded acres, the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails, the ski trails, both ungroomed and groomed, the classic and the skate, the snowshoeing, disc golf, all of the things that draw people out and into community, frankly, with others. I think for me, my running trail family is some of my best health and mental space that I spend in terms of doing this job. But I want to make a pitch to you and to others that are visiting that this stuff that you're going to talk about over the next few days is our best, Duluth's best competitive economic advantage. I had somebody that was very upset that we don't have 18 softball fields all next to each other. Jess, I'm sure you've heard this, exactly like Fargo, North Dakota does. And what I said to them is, that's not Duluth's competitive advantage. Maybe that works for Fargo, but people come and choose to stay in Duluth or come to be in Duluth because of these outdoor amenities that you're going to spend the next few days talking about and thinking about. How do we maintain? How do we improve? And the proof is right here. And Hansi cited one of the other bits of evidence. Why would we take out of our limited tourism dollars and help to support something like the Great Lakes Outdoor Summit? Because it's about an important part of Duluth's economy. Folks that are visiting to take advantage of these outdoor amenities are also, you're spending dollars while you're here, lodging, restaurant. You're getting to fall in love with our community. Some of you chose to call Duluth home because you've made a previous visit. Some of you that are here now are going to call Duluth home somewhere down the road because that's the lifestyle that you want to live. And even if you don't, you're going to go and tell others that you had this great experience and that you were here on a beautiful fall weekend and you spent time outdoors, got to see our community that's 26 miles long from one end to the other, 8 miles wide, with really distinct outdoor experiences for all 4 seasons. And that, my friends, is a competitive advantage that no other community, not just in Minnesota, but in the upper Midwest, can offer. And we are so proud to do it. And we're so proud to be stewards of that and stewards of this greatest of the Great Lakes that we have the blessing to live on the shores of. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping support that, especially to our groups that are based here in Duluth that help our parks team and the city team maintain and promote and grow and develop those assets, because they are what make this not just like any other community and an absolutely amazing place to live. So enjoy the next few days and enjoy your time here in Duluth.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Reinert. Okay, so we're just going to go just a little bit of housekeeping here. So folks have probably already started to figure out we have sort of a 2-level event going on right now. So obviously the opening will be in here. We're going to have lunch up here in this main room as well. And then the closing statements will be up here as well. So this is kind of the main room. But then you can see downstairs we actually have the 4 classroom sessions. So when you see your schedule, we'll go over that in a second here. That's where downstairs is where the actual sessions themselves will be. Also just note that we also downstairs have a gender neutral bathroom. And then actually sort of right back here, we also have a multi-faith room for folks that are looking for that. The other note is the Wi-Fi is open. So if you go on and check your Wi-Fi, it's the Great Lakes Outdoor Summit. Just click on that and you'll have access to Wi-Fi as well. Anything else I forgot, Alyssa? All right, cool. So that's a little bit of the logistics. And we will have Jonathan Rova, who you already heard a little bit, kicking around, calling out when things are changing and happening. So, and you can check the electronic kiosk boards for information as well. As far as schedule, if you see on your table, some of your tables have the little QR codes. You can actually snap a shot of the QR code, and that will give you the full agenda, summit schedule on your phone. So make sure you do that. You might even be able to snap this one. And really, we'll have a session right after this, and then lunch, and then sessions in line after that. So note that all the sessions will actually be recorded. So if you feel like you had one that you really wanted to go to and now you're going to another one, you can check back on that and we'll have recorded all the different sessions. So that's how that's going to work. And I just wanted to say a quick word about the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance. So the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance actually started in about 2010. And we really are looking, just as it says, to inspire collaboration within our local outdoor community. But one thing we knew is like the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance in the past 14 years has worked on and organized and planned, and the members of Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance, I should say, over 20 different projects and raised millions of dollars to invest in outdoor recreation in our community. So some examples are the Duluth Traverse Mountain Bike Trail, the Grand Avenue Nordic Center, Quarry Park, our section of the Superior Hiking Trail, horse trails, snowmobile trails. The list is long and lengthy. So the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance came together as all these separate member groups to figure out how our voices could be amplified and the work that we could do to raise up outdoor recreation in general in the city. So it's been, I think Tim remembers one of the first meetings. It's like flash, boom, 14 years. And it's also how we've decided to put on this summit. So as we were working on a lot of these different bigger outdoor recreation projects, a lot of the advocates and club members that were dealing with it were going to other conferences. And every time we would come back, we would have this, like, just literally watch the ball move forward. And the fact that we picked up so many great ideas and made so many great connections at these conferences. But we also were realizing they took a lot of time to go to, they're expensive to go to, and had the epiphany that why don't we start to figure out how we can do one here so that people are coming to us, but also that we are sort of centrally located in an outdoor rec community that other communities can come and learn from us, but we could learn from them as well. So a real exchange of ideas, both in successes and failures, and kind of learn from each other. So one challenge I would have for you at this conference, and I think what would be a success, is if you walk out of here with like 2 or 3 new contacts that you didn't have before, and really, take the time to meet some new folks, because that's where I think we end up seeing the biggest changes in projects and thus communities because of those connections. So that's why we're having the summit. I was just going to put up this is actually the member list, both of the not-for-profits, but also businesses that support the Duluth Area Outdoor Alliance. So I don't know, you guys can read those, all right? You want me to read through them? I think you got it. They're all cool. So about a year ago, I had the opportunity to attend the Wild Rice Symposium put on by the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. And the symposium brought people from across the region to learn about and celebrate the importance of monomen, or wild rice. And I just wanted to kind of relate some of the things that I learned there, because it was an amazing experience. I learned that Monoman wild rice is the center of the Ojibwe worldview, and that they migrated to Minnesota based on the prophecy that they should keep moving westward until they hit the place where food grows upon water. And this is why the Ojibwe came here to the head of the lake and remain here to this day. I heard a quote at the symposium that said, "We are one with the rice. You take my rice, you take my left arm. You take my fish and you take my right arm. There is no distinction. It is who we are. It is our connection to Mother Earth." I also learned that the St. Louis River estuary, where you are right now, when you guys look out that window, you're not looking at Lake Superior, you're looking at the Lake Superior estuary. So there's a distinction there. Contain perhaps the largest wild rice bed on Earth, and that this was literally the land of milk and honey, and still is the land of milk and honey for the Ojibwe people, and that the estuary held nearly 3,000 acres of life-sustaining rice. So tall and dense that when European fur traders arrived in the 1600s, they documented getting lost in the rice trying to find the upstream edge of the estuary. It was huge. Colonization started here in earnest in the early 1800s and would disrupt the Ojibwe way of life, creating treaties that led to land cessation and the interest in timber and mining prospects. This severed the relationship to their homelands and was further exacerbated by boarding schools that indigenous youth went away to, in an attempt to strip them of their language and their cultural practices. In the meantime, the timber industry boomed and millions of board feet of lumber were floated down the St. Louis River estuary to lumber mills, and the Monoman was ripped out by the floating logs, and the Monoman seed bank was buried under 20 feet of sawdust from the sawmills that exist on the river floor to this day. Today, the Fond du Lac Band has been working really hard in partnership with many agencies and outside partners, including the Minnesota Land Trust, to restore wild rice within the estuary, and they are witnessing positive results. So at the symposium, I also heard a story of hope, that while scraping off the sawdust layer in one bay of the river that the sawmills had been operating in, the original Monoman seed bank was uncovered and began to grow on its own. So these are seeds that were laid down over 100 years ago. So these seeds were laid down before the river was so negatively impacted and came down. So to me, this actually speaks to the idea of native resiliency, and also as a metaphor for the strength and the perseverance of the Ojibwe people themselves, people who have persevered and protected the seeds of their cultural practices in the face of forced assimilation and displacement. We cannot change the wrongs that have been done to the Ojibwe people in the past, but we as both individuals and leaders in our respective fields can carry forward by uplifting, listening, and supporting Ojibwe leadership and learning about their history and culture. So if you actually take a picture of this QR code, we've created a link tree that actually goes back to a lot of different resources about Native-owned businesses, people and historical and cultural subjects from our region. So really hope that you take the time to educate yourself about where you are, and thank you for listening. So unfortunately, this year, the Duluth outdoor community lost a very important person to us in Ann Flukinger. And how many people out there knew Ann Flukinger? Yeah, we used to call her Fluke. And unfortunately, Ann passed suddenly this fall. And so we just wanted to do sort of a dedication to her for the summit and just a remembrance. And at first I was like, maybe we should do some sort of like moment of silence. But if people knew Ann, they'd actually probably have like a moment of noise. Might actually be more. So if you have your trail call, like whoop, 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 or whatever, let's do your trail call. 1, 2, 3. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah. All right. We will definitely, the world needs more Ann Flukingers, not less. And she left us too soon, and we'll certainly miss her. All right. So from now, we're going to go to Lisa Lokala and Judy Gibbs and the Unless Award.